Welcome to Coffee Commerce. My name is Sean Ramit. I'm the grandson of a coffee farmer from Guyana. On Coffee Commerce, we don't only just talk about business and coffee, but we talk about the stories behind coffee as they relate to commerce and culture and society, and how it's helped to form some of the things that we do today. We've been talking about the coffee houses, and last week we talked about why they became popular in Europe. Previous to that, we talked about the invasion of coffee in Vienna. But before that, we should talk about how coffee was perceived in Europe. Initially, it was seen as something that was the drink of the enemy, the Ottomans. And it was also referred to as the devil's drink. There's such a strong feeling about that they asked Pope Clement VIII to ban coffee. Before doing so, he decided to drink it and taste it for himself. So he had a cup of coffee, fell in love with it. Rather than cursing coffee, he blessed it and baptized it and named it as being acceptable for his parishioners and the Holy Roman Empire. That paved the way for coffee to come into Europe. But we have to thank the Venetians for spreading coffee in Europe. Why the Venetians? Why Venice in particular? It's very interesting. At that time in the 1600s, in the 1500s, and the 1600s, all around Europe, there were competing nations rising up that were monarchies, theocracies, and they were fighting for land and possession. This forced farmers and merchants into a lagoon in the northern part of Italy that we now call Venice. From there, they went on to the islands. And because these empires were mostly landlocked empires, even the little distance of water separating them from the land was enough of a barrier to keep them from being invaded. So with this, Venice was formed. Venice did not have a monarch, they did not have a theocracy, they had a republic. And as such, they were seen as being neither an enemy, not necessarily an ally, but they stayed neutral. This allowed them to trade, and that's what they did. They used their position, they used their neutral status in order to be the merchants that would travel the world at that time through the Mediterranean and would trade goods and services. While in Constantinople and Istanbul, they found coffee houses. They fell in love with this beverage, and they wanted to bring it back. At first, the beverage is sold on the street by lemonade vendors. Coffee houses started to appear in Venice, especially around the Piazza San Marco. It went from one coffee house to nearly 200. 24 alone were in the Piazza San Marco. In 1720, Venice saw the opening of Cafe Florian, which is still in Venice today, 300 years later. Venice would model the coffee houses after the Ottomans initially. Later on, a lot of the culture of Italy would come into these coffee houses, and this is what caused them to spread so quickly. But that's another story for another cup of coffee. Thank you.